Welcome to TDJS Reviews. This is basically like a everything you loved in the Darren Green Show, but just a series review, and I also have guests. Today I'll have like a handful or a couple of my mutuals on TikTok, and we're going to be talking about the series Euphoria season 2. I want to give the space for everybody to just say who they are, and this is a place where y'all can put y'all plugs in.
My name is Harry, short for Harrison. I am my TikTok handle, Instagram handle are the same. It is galaxy_of_Harry. I'm just all things Black, queer, and fabulous.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you want to go?
You could go.
Okay. My name's Anastasia. You can find me on TikTok at the same name, which is Anastasia Gracia, with underscores at the beginning and end.
I'm Jenna. You can find me on TikTok as Clagoon. So yeah.
Period. And y'all know who I am, child, because this is the Darren Green Show. So today we're going to be talking about episode 1. Trying to get to heaven before they close the door. Now I'm going to timeline the episode, but we're also going to, just to get you guys' thoughts on like, what did you feel overall? Like, what is this? What do you rate the episode? Is it 1 out of 10? Yeah. We'll just go around the room. Whether,
Ooh, it was a lot this episode.
Right.
I loved Fez's backstory.
Because it has a lot of backstory. Well, I think it's kind of jumping. Well, I guess it's like one of those where we left off at, and it's 2 months later. So I like that. But it's Rue has relapsed hard this time.
Yeah.
And that's like intense. Because that part where she knew she was going into cardiac arrest. That was wild. I was like, yo,
what is this about? I'm like, huh?
And then she snorts a line off of somebody's phone. I was like, wait, if you're overdosing or going into cardiac arrest, why are you doing drugs? And then someone had to explain to me because whatever she's, it makes her heart beat so she doesn't die. I was like, this is a lot.
Yeah, Sis gonna need an intervention. I mean, I expected it to be like crazy because this is Euphoria. This is every new episode.
Heroin,
this is,
and then the girl who was doing heroin at the beginning, Faye, when she was injecting
busted. She was busted.
Yeah, where she was injecting. I was like,
I've never heard of that.
In her punani, she put it. I was like, girl,
I didn't know there were I mean, I have never heard of that. Like veins there. That is so and then she's like, it's just heroin. Girl. And Rue's looking at her crazy. But then Rue goes and does the heroin the same. Now I was like, Rue,
what we doing?
That whole scene was just a lot.
It was.
I thought she was gonna die. I think everyone thought she was gonna die.
But we knew she's like the main character. So yeah, she is. She's the main character. So I don't think they're gonna kill her off that easily. But I feel like my first initial thoughts to the show, it was a whole lot of peen.
Yes.
How many do we have to see? How many do we have to see? I was tired.
It's so much.
5.
It's so full frontal for a show about people in high school. It just feels very uncomfortable. Like, I know these people are older than high school age, but it's very uncomfortable for me to think these are supposed to be in high school, and we're showing all of this full frontal nudity, and I'm just like, what? Especially for men, because it's like. And I get it. It's not any different for women to have a whole lot of full frontal, but it's just media. It's just more common to see full frontal nudity for women than it is for men, and it's wild to me.
But what I learned is those aren't even real; those are prosthetics.
Oh Lord!
So they're making fake.
those things?
I know that for. Let me
Those
stop.
they're prosthetics. Like some of them
Yeah.
may be real, but sometimes they're prosthetics. So I was like,
You go, Mike.
so somebody's job is to like
Hello.
make like
I'm so sorry I'm
like
late.
It's all good. It's all good. We're getting our first initial thoughts of the episode.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
was just so much pain, and I was like, "How many?" I was eating, and they just kept popping up. I
and
was
they
like,
always
"Girl."
zoom in. Like they make sure we see it.
That's
And we
And
see
the
it in detail.
and the
first time
last
I'm like,
one,
okay.
the last one, I had let my guard down. I was like, "Okay, we're done. Okay, cool." Boom. I was
Ooh.
I'm like, well, look, it's definitely it's HBO, so HBO is known for doing showing a lot of that, and I guess that we're not like kind of used to seeing, like you said, full frontal nudity with men. Very surprising and very kind of creepy because these are high school students.
Why were there so many like white boy Ricks in this one episode? I was like,
He was
where is
literally
this
in it
taking
though.
place? Like when they were getting like kind of abducted by the drug dealers, I was like, or oh no, when Fez's grandmother was talking, she kept calling people crackers. I was like, aren't you white? Like,
right.
that's your cousin. What?
She said, "I see a cracker with a bowl cut." I died.
I was
I'm
like,
not-
well, you mean the one right next to you? Like, what? I was like, who was writing this script? Because there's nobody not white.
And then
Now
it's wild how
they're all white writers, right?
Yes. So I was like, why are y'all purposely putting this in? Like, that is so weird whenever I see like white people always saying it's always these stupid white girls. I was like, what does them being white? You're also white. What? Like,
Yes.
Do you think
it's just a lot.
they're doing it? Do you think they're doing it to like try to bait at like a different demographic for the show? Like if just in case, since the second season has like become so it's way more popular, I guess, than the first season when it first like dropped. Maybe they're like expecting a different demographic to probably come, and they're probably writing for that.
I think they're
It's not
pandering to
working,
black
though.
people. I think they're trying to pander to like black people.
But
Yeah.
if they do,
Yeah.
can they have some black people on the show?
That's hello.
I mean, no hate to Dominic Fike. I thought that was a white guy until I saw him. Like, I didn't know he acted or did acting. But they're also writing McKay's character off the show.
Oh, so they are doing that.
Yeah, like the actor was liking tweets saying he's no longer in the show. And when you saw like the premiere, he was not invited to the premiere.
Oh Lord.
So,
and it was because of hesitancy, what COVID vaccine hesitancy or something?
I don't know. But I do know like McKay's character, that's the second actor for it. The first actor was somebody else who dropped out of the role because he thought the season 1 hazing scene was way too much, which it low-key was.
It was.
Yeah.
And someone brought it up on Twitter, like the fact that McKay's in college already kind of separates him from the main characters. So it's like him being written off was kind of like maybe already planned. But the fact that they put in such a serious thing of him getting, hazed and assaulted, we just never going to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think the storyline for both old boy and his girlfriend was just overdeveloped for the first season. I think like it could have taken. I feel like they could have focused on other people like a lot more with the first season. I feel like everybody's storyline was kind of like they had like a couple. And what I also think about like maybe they did it because they knew they were going to start writing people out, and they knew they probably needed to have like a flashback moment or something like that. Or maybe they don't bring people back. Is that a possibility that they're gonna like? I don't want to rule that out because with the way that the show goes, the show doesn't like the show. It doesn't have like the way they tell the story. It's not in a certain linear fashion.
Linear.
It's very sporadic. It's like okay, we're here now, and then also we have to understand that Rue being the narrator, she isn't dependable. So they might even try to work that into the script for the second season even more to try to show her instability as a person, or as she's healing or as she's growing, they may use that as a way to show that she's growing as a person. Like, oh, she's getting better at this, and so the story is starting to have more structure.
Yeah. I was like confused, like kind of on the show, like, does Rue know more than the other characters because she is like the narrator in a sense, but she is like, she even says she's unreliable. Like, so with things like Maddie getting, beaten by Nate, do other people know that's happening? How does Rue know that's happening?
Right.
Because none of them really seem like best friends. Like, for only 5, like, how many people in this friend group, they really don't communicate with each other. Like,
they don't communicate with Rue that much either.
I mean, but in high school, it's true to a high school dynamic. Like, you're not really friends with these people. Y'all just are all together all the time. So and y'all tolerate each other the best and tolerate these people the most in high school. Not to say that you don't have real friends in high school. I think a lot, like many people may still have genuine friendships that they still have past high school. But for the most part, people that you hang out in high school are that you're forced to, or that you're around all the time. So y'all end up being friends. But I don't think any of these people really like each other. Or I think, especially in the case of like, what's the girl's name? Kathy or Caddy?
Cassie.
Cassie.
Caddy.
Like I don't really think Maddie and Lexi like really like her. Especially
Lexi's
Maddie.
her sister.
That's something we need to get into too.
They're not friends. But like Lexi, like we know they're not really friends because Lexi and Rue had that whole thing in season 1 where it's like, you don't even talk to me unless you want me to use to help you pass a drug test.
Yeah.
So, and Lexi's kind of just there in the friend group because she's Cassie's younger sister.
Right.
And Kat's really there.
Right.
Like, it's really just, I'm friends with this person, I know this person, and we all kind of we're all connected in one way. So we just friends for convenience. But it's like weird. It's just way too much is going on in this friend group for y'all not to talk.
Yeah. And for Rue just to know everything about each other. But I want to get into the timeline, just with the episode, and first talk about how the story actually starts off with a flashback of Fezco's, I guess, backstory. And we see his grandmother and what, his upbringing. How did y'all feel about that? Because I was a little thrown off, but then I was like, a lot of people was asking for a Fezco storyline, backstory, or whatever. It was just graphic, like in the beginning.
Yeah.
God damn.
I do think it was necessary, though.
I feel like we all know Fezco. I mean, I feel like it's integral to have Fezco's backstory because he is Rue's dealer first. Now he does, they do consider each other friends. He calls her his family all the time. So I do feel like they are close, but at the end of the on a surface level, he is her dealer that she's all around all the time. So having his backstory, also his backstory is interesting because like how he was raised, his grandmother, and then the fact that she's like comatose, she's basically a vegetable now, but he's he's her caretaker. And then he still takes care of Ashtray, which is weird too. Because it's like that boy don't know name.
No,
and how he came, as far as how Ashtray came into their life, he was a collateral baby. Like his mom told him for a bit.
I thought they was really like brothers. Like I was like, what's
yeah, so did I was like, oh, so he just got sold to the grandmother.
Like I was very confused.
I think it's really, really, really telling, and I think it was absolutely. Me personally, I think it was absolutely necessary. The front story. Yes, it was graphic, all that, but I think it's going to really help us understand why Rue is so close to him. Because although, they may have like their differences, they both know how it feels to not have the parent that understands them, to, have something that they're yearning for that they completely lose. So I do think like that is going to go into why they're so close. And I hope like it shows. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But I think it was necessary. Like, although it did come out of like left field almost, he was one of my favorite characters. Me personally, he was one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character besides Rue in this past season, because of the way he handled things for her and with her. He wasn't an enabler, but you can tell that he cared about her. And it wasn't about the money too with the drugs, and that was another thing too. Like, it wasn't like he was just, oh, I'm using her because she's giving me money for drugs. She would be getting free drugs. So it feels like he knows how to handle her because he experienced, multiple different people in his life that he had to take care of who were drug addicts. And so I feel like that was a really, really necessary part of the story to really help you understand why he tried so hard with Rue.
I liked how it showed like he didn't really get to be a child as much, and like how it's like this generational thing where him, his grandmother, and now his younger brother just kind of sell drugs, and that's kind of all they can really do. Because does Ashtray ever go to school? Did he ever go to school? Fez dropped out of school and all this stuff. And I was a little confused, like, what happened to the grandmother? Like, what was her sickness?
I think an overdose or cancer or something.
Oh. And then you kind of like see like him getting like abused as a child, like from his dad. And then that one time, like his grandmother's beating someone up with a crowbar, and he comes after her and she accidentally like literally hits him in the face.
I laughed. I didn't mean to.
Wait.
No.
I was clutching my pearl shirt. I was like, oh my, is he okay?
Yeah, I thought he was gonna die. Like, oh.
But I mean, I tell how he got the scar in his head, because he always had this scar on his head. And I was like,
what? Now it's explained.
What's wrong with him?
Like, it really explains like more than just Fez, because then we see Ashko deck people with the hammer, and we understand why. I was like, he really just, that was crazy, because I'm looking at like Ashtray, which you can really see that what those 2 years in between the show did to the actor, because he looks way more grown up, like way different than season 1. And you just see him like take this hammer and like
I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't think last season. I'm like, oh, he's a little badass kid. No, he
like killed somebody, like
right.
And he didn't think nothing. He was like, yeah.
I'm sitting here like, did we just like, it's not funny, but it's so when you're watching.
I was like, wait, he's a killer. Yo.
Yes, like isn't he like 10?
Yeah.
And he just
this show is a roller coaster. I'm telling you, you just get into it's.
And this is
the first. So I don't even know. And I feel like there's some truth to this, but it's always shows about kids that live in California that just seem like blow my mind. But then I realized, like, I moved to California, and a lot of kids that live in California live like this. Like, their parents just let them do whatever. They be out at all times of night. They be doing, and it's just be like, this is like I really live.
It's crazy. It really is crazy. Like, I went to school. I live in California now, but like I went to school in Washington, and the similarities in that show, like I know a Rue, like not like Rue, but I know people like that. The school dynamic that's going on, like that's why I watch the show and I'm like, this stuff is crazy, because I know a Fed. I know like a white boy that's slanging, like all this stuff. It goes on for real, and it's so, because when they're in a different area where there's not gang violence that are just plaguing the streets, there is so much more freedom for people to experiment. And I can remember going to school and people are on E, people are taking Xans, this is stuff that people do on the daily basis. And even myself, when you're in that environment, you're like, shoot, let me try X, Y, and Z, and you don't at that moment really realize like what fitting in is going to cost you.
Yeah.
So like seeing this show, and it's a spitting image almost of my high school. Like I got a friend named, I'll say her name, Haja. That's my rule. She come to class on the floor, like, you know, type stuff, like just laid out. But it's because these people have parents who, first of all, work their lives away, so they aren't there, you know. And it's a difference between our communities, where we have people in our neighborhoods who hold us accountable for our actions, because it's a neighborhood, and we know if one mess up, it's a possibility that it could mess it up for everybody. But they don't have that. They don't have that mindset. They're free willing, and their parents are like, oh, you know, it's fine. Especially since there's not as much violence and there's not as many things to be afraid of. There's a culture, you know, of letting your children do whatever the hell they want to, because you feel that they're going to be safe. You feel that it's nothing that I should be worried about. And then also, like, the parents be working.
Yeah.
No, like,
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I live in like Florida, and the area I live in is very white, but I'd have kids come to school, and it was junior year, and there would be 14-year-olds every single day having to smoke a blunt 7 a.m. before they go to school, because they were like, I'm stressed. You're 14.
Yeah.
It's English 1. And then in 10th grade, I knew this one girl where she came to school high every day, to the point that the days that she didn't come to school high, I thought she was high. Because it was just like this, like, just way it just changed her behavior. And sometimes you just be in conversation with people and be like, oh yeah, I had this one girl, she was like, yeah, I've done crack 3 times. I was like, what the fuck? You just met me.
Coke is like,
And they just,
Here's my thing. Here's my thing. See, I went to private school. Okay, so everything was on a hush. They was in your business. They was what you doing, who you doing it with, what's going on. People were still doing weed. People were still doing like mollies and stuff like that. But like nothing like this, like at this magnitude.
But I think it's like the fact that people are doing this, and they were doing it with their neighbors. They were doing it with people in their community. It's like, this is something, I don't know if it maybe is a cultural thing, but when I talk to my friends who are white, they talk about how they don't really care about other white people. They don't have like this thing where it's like, we need to do better.
There's no
I'm sitting
sense
here
of
like,
community.
how are you over here doing crack with your neighbor?
There's no sense of community the same way that it is for minorities.
Yeah, because they don't get like,
because they're not generalized.
Yes,
they're not generalized in the same way that we
exactly.
are. So
I'm sitting here like, it's just crazy. And then it's like, these kids, like, even in middle school, I went to middle school in Loudoun County, and it's nothing but white people who will brag about being rich and everything. And we would still have kids coming to school high, and we're 12, 13. And I'm sitting here like fucking Lexi in the group, like sitting here confused, like, you doing drugs? Like, what?
Okay, Lexi was the one with, because see, I'm still kind of learning these characters. Lexi is the one,
the younger sister to Cassie.
And she was like, I feel like she was so annoying. She was like walking around like, oh, where's Cassie? Oh, I'm like, honey,
because she got to be the rescible one. That's why I was watching it, and I'm like, why isn't she drinking? But then I remembered that like she got to drive.
Right.
I mean, but Cassie, we've seen Cassie drink, but we've also seen Cassie also, she's kind of like ugly sister. She's not ugly, but she's kind of like the less attractive sister, because Cassie is just like, Cassie is seen as, you know, like this, you know, just the beautiful one. She's been beautiful since she hit puberty, you know, right. And you know, she's the popular girl's best friend, and so Lexi has always kind of played the background to Cassie's foreground. And even when they were talking, even when Cassie last season, you know, she was talking, you know, she was talking to Cassie, or Cassie was talking to her, and she was like, I just don't understand how you can be interested at 2 guys at once. And Cassie's like, because you're shy. And she was like, well, I've also never wanted to be. She was because you're shy. And so
she also got mad at her sister. Like, everybody loves you. Everybody tells you you're beautiful all the time, Cassie. Like, the way those sisters are so different is so interesting. Even though they have like the exact same lives, like, but then you also wonder, like, with this narration, because it is Rue and she's so unreliable, when we see Cassie's dad come and visit her high out of his mind, did he ever visit Lexi? Or was he just seeing Cassie? Right. So that's the thing where you're sitting here confused. I'm like, does everybody else know what's going on? But like that dynamic, even though I'm the only child, like you can pretty much tell that even though Lexi is the younger one, she takes on the older sibling role.
Yeah.
Because Cassie gets like used and manipulated. Yeah. Because she's never in the time. She never gets into these relationships because maybe she doesn't have time. So I don't know if anyone watched like the like extras at the end of the episode. Well, not at the end of the episode, but like you had to click to find it where it's showing like what's going to happen on next season.
Yeah, I was trying to find that.
You got to scroll, like if you watch it on HBO Max app, when it's at the end of the episode, it should come up at like the bottom.
Yeah, I probably got to watch it on my phone because I've been on my TV.
I did on my TV too.
Oh, you did? Oh, sure. Well, I'm gonna find that out.
It or you have to go to like the season page and like scroll to the bottom of season 2 or whatever. But I was watching it and like Lexi was like, I think I'm gonna start like taking time for me and putting me first. And she's like throwing a play and you kind of see clips of the play or whatever. And there's like people dressed like cheerleaders. Like Cassie was like, is she about to shit on her sister in front of the whole school? What's going on with this? Now, and that's kind of what I feel like is going to happen. Like,
right. Since you brought up Cassie, let's get into the
part. We are getting into, you know, their respective, you know, we're getting into their respective junior and senior years. Because Rue and all of them are going to senior year. Cassie's the only one that's a year behind them. I mean, Lexi is the only one that's a year behind them. So they're getting ready to go into their senior year. We're seeing a lot of the end of it because this was New Year's. So we're probably going to see a lot of like, summer. At this point, we're going into summer. So we're probably going to see a lot more parties, a lot more, craziness. But I will say
2020.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, so
it's not really established. I don't know.
Because a lot of shows was born. I mean, even though it may be in 2020, a lot of shows aren't deciding to do. I mean, some shows have decided not to do it, so they may not have a COVID episode or a COVID season.
I hope they don't.
Yeah,
because
I'm tired of seeing it. I'm tired of seeing it.
But like I was just wanted to segue into the next sequence of the episode. Since we brought up Cassie, because it kind of starts with Cassie, because we see her off and
she need her ass
meets
beat
up with Nate and
does she though?
She need her ass beat. Why she do that?
Bathroom, child, back at the party.
This is why I got called a victim blamer, because I said that she needs her ass beat, and people were like, "Well, she was manipulated, and Nate's a terrible person." Girl, did we not watch the car scene where she took her panties off? That entire car scene was giving me anxiety. Because he's drinking and driving and going 100 miles per hour on this windy road, and she took her seatbelt off and hang halfway out the window.
Like, girl, he literally just said "fuck you" and "fuck your life," and you're just like, "Woo!" Like,
that's what I was like. This is what's
going on?
But we have to remember, like, when we were talking about Cassie, like when we were doing backstory episode when she was going through her, abortion, they talked about how, Rue narrates how she loves every guy that she's ever dated, whether he was good, bad, nice, horrible, beat on her, or did. So I'm not surprised that, she kind of, just fell for the, for the Nate train altogether.
Like,
now, I don't.
She's looking for, like, she's seen her dad be completely toxic throughout all her life. And that's the man who she loves the most. You see how her daddy was acting with her mom. You saw how her daddy was acting with her. So for her to go into her, adolescence or, whatever, that's the only way she knows how to interact with love. That's the only way she learned how to love men. and interact with them. You treat me bad, that's fine. You can do whatever you want. You can literally, and you can even see when in the first season when they were talking about how she was getting gang banged or whatever the case may be, and oh boy, came in a room and was trying to, really take her, and she was like, no, like that's not what I like. But in that moment, I felt like she would do whatever she can to be loved by a man, because
I felt
the
bad for
man
her in
who
that
was
moment.
supposed to love
Yeah.
her, the man who was supposed to love her, he didn't do it right. He pretended like he told her I love you, but his actions never showed I love you. So the idea of love for her is a is an absent man, and when he isn't absent, he's either drunk off his ass, taken from her, or mistreating her and her sister or her mom, and then her
But I
mom
was
doesn't make.
like confused because I'm sitting there like, okay, this is your best friend's ex-boyfriend. I was confused if she was aware that he was abusing her because Rue knows this. But I was like, even if you don't know he was abusive, this was a toxic relationship. But I'm watching, I'm like, girl, like of all the people in this show, him, and it was so quick. Like it was just immediate. And that's where I was like, this
I mean,
and the way
when
she
you were
was
in
the
high
one
school,
person trying to get Fez off of Nate.
People was
where I
doing that in
like,
high school though. People was that janky in high school. I ain't gonna.
yeah, people do that all the time in high
true.
school.
Yeah, like
A lot of the times these girls will be best friends. That's not the case. They are studying these girls. These girls, they want to be them. They aspire to be them, and you can see it in the way she dressed, the way she acts, the approval that she
no.
needs from her.
They literally have her dressed like Maddie in one of these
Yeah.
episodes, the exact same
Yeah.
outfit. I was like, you
Yeah.
ain't never dressed like this.
She's obsessed. She's always.
She
And
was
it's
not that
always
girl. She was not that girl last year.
But she doesn't even know who she is. She just does whatever. She like changes herself to whatever will best suit the guy that she likes. And when it doesn't, it really hurts her. Like when McKay says, girl, you dress like a slut. Why you dress like this? In her like cowboy outfit. That hurt her because she doesn't know who she is. And that's really sad to watch. But then when you watch her engage in this behavior and, fucking in a bathroom at somebody's house you don't know, you sitting there like, girl, see, that's why I want her to bust out that door. And
then she had me scared because she over here hiding in the tub and shit. I'm like,
when she was about to cry, I was like,
I just think the crying was unnecessary. Like she was crying so bad, like
she cried.
Somebody was about to bust.
I was like, no, give her some grace. Give her some grace because, like you said, she don't even know who she is. How could she even fathom self-worth?
But I don't care. You don't need to cry all the time either. Like, yeah, I get it. You don't know who you are, but why are you crying? Shut up.
She feels it. I personally feel like maybe because I'm super emotional and stuff. When things don't work out for me and I try super hard because
ain't enough emotion in the world.
That's what she lives for.
I think she was crying because she knew what the consequence would be, and she didn't want it to happen.
She knew Maddie.
She wants to do things without the consequences, and like she knew. I think things about this, it would hurt her more than she was cared. She cared about how it would hurt her not to have that friend anymore. Than, oh my god, I'm fucking I broke girl code. I'm fucking her ex-boyfriend who was like super toxic. Like I think she was thinking about herself a little bit more. And that's kind of something that Lexi does where they all kind of do this where they're teenagers and they don't think necessarily about the consequences and how it's going to impact other people, because it wasn't until it was Maddie that she was like, oh, what am I doing? Oh my god.
You got caught. That's when she had the fanny. Was like, oh my god, like an outfit.
And that's why she deserved to have that rag thrown on her face.
That was funny.
I mean, if it wasn't gonna be, it was gonna be somebody else. Like, I'm really not surprised. It just happens to be Cassie. I get it. Like, but I feel like as a person that was slightly popular in high school, I've seen this happen before, and it's just kind of like, okay.
I'm a little worried for Cassie, like. The way that Nate started talking to McKay, like, did you use a condom? Did you come to her? Like,
he wanted to get into his Gucci cat.
Gay for that.
He wanted to get into his Gucci cat.
Nate is a serial killer. I don't care what nobody says. Nate is a serial killer. I don't like nobody can get busy as different.
Hold on. Because Anastasia, you had a great take on TikTok about this.
Yes, people were saying that it was gay, that it was homosexual. I was like, it's not about him concerned about McKay's dick. It's him viewing Cassie as an object and recreating those possessive like tendencies that he did with Maddie, to the point that he's like assaulting someone and framing someone because he had the nerve to fuck Cassie. No, Maddie had the nerve to fuck Maddie. Like, he is recreating that and already objectifying Cassie to such a degree that he views that he owns her already. And that's the thing that's kind of weird, where it's like when Nate gets his ass beat by Fez and it's the best scene ever, she was the main one telling him, oh my god, get off, and Fez pushes her down and says, girl, let me go back to hitting him. And that's why I'm kind of worried that one, Nate is going to start being violent towards Cassie, or that two, Cassie is going to start defending Nate when Maddie's like, girl, he hit me, and she'll be like, oh, he's such a good guy. No. I'm worried those two things are going to happen, and I feel like they probably are.
Yeah.
I
Because
fear
Sam
I don't know.
Levinson loves to put these characters through it.
I don't know how far this like Cassie and Nate thing will go. Also, because I feel like because of the whole blackmail thing, I feel like the blackmail thing may unravel this season. For Nate, no.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I just feel like
the reason I feel like it will is because, and the reason I feel like it will is because Fezco decided to beat his ass, and so
that was,
I didn't see it coming. Like, literally, I thought everybody pieced it up. I'm like, okay, new year, we get new revolution.
But that's the best part about it, is the way that Fez, like, he was like, last time you saw me once, you told me you wanted to kill me. He's like, new year, playboy. But I think the fact that Nate bragged that he wanted to kill, that Fez wanted to kill him, made Fez really say, yeah, I'm gonna beat his ass right now.
You think I'm pussy? That's what he said.
Literally, like,
ooh, no, because
you see how he didn't miss one hit every time.
He been waiting, and that's the whole thing with them smug, entitled.
Well, I mean, he been waiting because.
Yeah,
he been waiting because the people on him and made him lose all that money, and he had to go steal the money to pay the Dracula back. So he been waiting to give him that ass whooping.
Right. It's the way Nate feels like he's so untouchable. It's just so.
And
because he has been.
We saw how he reacted to his dad, like holding him down. He had a whole tantrum. It was the wildest. It was the wildest thing.
No. That is because I hope they unwrap this. I do believe his daddy was doing shit to him when he was a little boy, and that's why he said faggot so hard. His daddy, like, you know.
Well, no, because we know that Nate knows about the whole, sexually assaulting people in the hotels. So that's why he's been calling him a faggot this whole time.
No. Let me go deeper. Because the way he hates his mom and the way he hates women, his mom was letting stuff happen when he was a little boy. That's why he don't have no respect for her.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be unpacked.
The way he talks about his mom and the way he talks about his parents and the way he treats women, he's very like, no, y'all was around her. You was letting this man touch on me, fuck on me, and do whatever he was doing with his nasty ass.
I'm not getting.
But you see how Nate's brother doesn't act this way? Maybe it's because you haven't seen his brother, but like Nate's brother doesn't give I hate all women, all this. Like Nate definitely like his aggression. I feel like not only does he probably hate, I feel like he hates his dad, hates his mom because he hates women because he was overexposed to all those materials his dad had. But it's also like his need to overcompensate and be overtly, I don't say masculine because the violence isn't inherently masculine, but like I feel like he, in his mind, he has to be violent to prove he's a man. Even though nobody even knows you got gay men on your phone. Nobody knows that but Maddie. But you trying to like you're really kind of letting everybody know. Like,
I don't think it's getting like I feel like the parental. I feel like Euphoria has a very, while there's a lot of abuse happening in Euphoria, I think their limit is us like parents assaulting children. Just because, or just like adults assaulting children, because even with the whole, like in this episode where Rue, they like the guy made, you know, all of them take their clothes off. Yeah. He took into the bathroom. They didn't even show Rue naked. Like they showed, you know, they showed her
because Zendaya ain't going for that.
We saw Nate. Well, we did see Nate's dad having sex with Jules, and that's illegal.
Mixed steamy.
Because Jules is a kid.
Woman in real life. That's the
I
whole
think
thing.
Mike, you have a point. In that family, there's something that really seriously needs to be unpacked with that entire family. They're very weird. I was listening on to your Spaces conversation, Anastasia. It's just something weird about that dude.
There's just so much going on in this show when you really think about it. Like every character could have their own independent show.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying they need to unpack. They need to unpack so many different other. Like I think. Go ahead.
It's just like that family dynamic. Like the mother, like, girl, do you do anything? You let your kid talk to you this way? Well, in certain families, they let their kids talk to them.
Most black parents let their kids talk to them crazy. Like, that's not really like, that's not anything.
My experience, I grew up like in different spaces. I grew up with, you know, a lot of white friends. I did. And a lot of the times, because I know a lot of my white friends' parents would never let this shit fly. Now, everybody's different. But when you see the cases where the parents are constantly working or, you know, just overly, or just too busy for the kids, they do have a lot of guilt. And so they allow the kids to get away with a lot of shit. That's why we have so many people out here who are very entitled and feel like that they can do whatever they want to because their parents weren't there. They had nannies. They had chefs. They had everything that they could buy, but they weren't in their children's life. So they don't have any connection with anybody because their nannies can't whoop them. And nannies can only possibly correct them a little bit.
But that's my other question. Like, if your dad has this whole secret life where he is paying basically trans children to fuck him, why does he have it so casually out that like a little kid can access it in the house?
Okay.
Like, if the mom doesn't know, how the fuck does Nate know? How does the brother not know? Or maybe they all know and nobody's talking about it, and that's why it feels so weird. But I'm sitting here like, if you have this whole secret thing that could ruin you and you doing technically illegal things, why is it so accessible to your young child?
Because
that kid just literally just unlocked it and started watching. You don't have no cameras in the house. Like, there is it's just weird that he had such access to that and no one else ever found out. Or maybe they know about it and nobody's saying anything. And that's why he snapped when Jules was saying, oh, your dad's such a
One thing about them people, they know how to keep a secret. And I know that from experience. You could be in a room full with them and something could happen. If it'll make somebody look bad, because that's one thing, they don't give a fuck about honesty. They care about being nice and looking good. They care, and that's the biggest issue with that community, and that's why so many things go under the bridge. Why people have racist uncles and aunties, because they don't really care about, you know.
And they're upper crust too, so you know they you know.
Yeah, so they're like, we need to keep this perfect life, this perfect facade going on. Like, I can remember even being a part of the church. There would be so many different things going on within the church, and nobody would say anything. They would pretend to have perfect lives, and then they would force me and other people like me to lie and make it seem like it was a different thing going on than it actually was. So we got to also think about, you know, culture and how that plays into it too. Because you're saying, well, how that shit would never fly in a black house, but in a white house, I mean, that's never said. But in that house,
you can say, look, but ain't no sister.
The dad say, don't go in that door.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna go in that door.
Or at least have the door locked.
Because my mama and my stepdaddy would have been mad.
Like, the way we watched this little boy just walk into the room, open the thing, take the key out, open it, and put it in the computer. You don't have nothing. Like, there's no way you can convince me that these rich ass white people have no cameras in their house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, it feels like the dad wants to get caught because he would rather someone expose him than him like have to tell everybody that maybe he's bisexual.
He said that to Jules. He said it to Jules the first night he met her. He was pretty much like, "So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna be open and free, or are you just gonna live and hide like me?" So he wants to be out. He don't want to be in a closet. He hates his life. It's not like he's like, "Oh, I enjoy being." This man wants to be out, and that's why he was saying he admired her and all that stuff. The first night he met her before he assaulted her, he was. So I definitely could see him wanting people to find it, so he don't have to, take the responsibility of saying, "Well, yeah, I came out and I ruined my family." If they make the decision to stop fucking with him because of what he does, he will probably feel a hell of a lot better than if he said, "Well, I'm leaving my family."
Is like the fact that the father like doesn't even want to have anything consensual, even though him and Jules could never be consensual because that is statutory. Even if he is with like women who are of legal age, he purposely assaults them and videos it, and then his son watched him repeatedly assault trans women, and then the thing that his son absorbed from it was, let me lift weights and become strong. Why did you? And then the fighting scene. So maybe Mike is onto something where he's like, maybe the father did do something to him, and that's why he's trying to get strong to fight his father and not be the people in the video. Or he's either doing that because we see him become like his dad and assault people. And the fact that Maddie finds like videos like this, and instead of maybe turning it to the police or telling somebody, she just recreates the assault victims. Like, this is too much. This is way too much. Like, and then it's
but
like
it's
he
real.
doesn't. But then it's like Nate, unlike his father, doesn't want to be out at all. Because when Maddie's like, well, sexuality is a spectrum, he's like, girl, that's bullshit.
I think he assaults women to like exert some sort of power that he didn't have as a child. So.
Yes, it's way too much going on. Like, we need to dig deeper in Nate, but sometimes I feel like with Nate, they put that entire story arc of him questioning his sexuality, which for reference, because some people on Twitter was really not understanding what people were saying. No one's saying him dating Jules or being attracted to Jules means he's gay or bisexual. No one's saying Jules is a man. We're saying the fact that he also had gay men on his phone. It wasn't just trans women. He had gay men on that phone. So it's not like we're saying, oh, trans women are men. No. The fact that he had gay men on his phone and like that questioning sexuality arc, if you took that out, there would be nothing to even be like, oh, well, maybe. Like, he for real catfished somebody and then had them take nudes and then blackmailed them and forced them to become complicit in his lie against framing someone for assault after he beat the shit out that person.
Yeah.
And popped up in that person's house like so like crazy, like
that shit was
criminal.
Crazy.
Like,
we get it. He wasn't supposed to be in that space anyway because he was an adult.
Yeah, but Nate is definitely. I definitely think that Nate is definitely giving serial killer for Nate. I definitely feel like
the way he got into that apartment, like
with this one.
He got into that. The way he just
he's a sociopath in the worst way. It is
so
wild.
To kill Jules. I thought he was going to kill Jules season 1.
Like, I thought he was.
I was waiting.
Me too.
I never thought he was going to kill Jules. Honestly, I feel like while he did set that up well, I actually feel like he actually kind of likes Jules. Because even when we talk about like how Jewel presents herself and how she carries herself, and how Rue was kind of like narrating, Nate's backstory and how the type of girls he likes and how he likes this thing about girls and that thing about girls and all of those. Jules fits those descriptions. She just is she's just transgender. So
Jules
I don't know. I feel like he kind of likes her, but I also feel like he did that to benefit himself so that but see, I don't know because I don't think he was because while I think it was a setup, I also don't know because he used it to frame Tyler
Yeah,
But
I think maybe
he had
it was
already
like
beat up Tyler.
he wanted
I
it to
think
be like.
I think the title. What did you about to say? I think we about to say the same thing. So I'm gonna just let you go first.
Oh, okay. I think maybe like he did initially genuinely like Jules, but just wanted to be like him, so he doesn't have to ever
Right.
like, because society is homophobic and transphobic. I feel like if he were to publicly say any attraction to Jules, people would think he's gay because people
Mm-hmm.
would misgender Jules on purpose. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Yeah.
he was thinking about that, but then also like the influence of his dad onto him. So maybe he genuinely was liking Jules, but then when it became this whole Tyler situation, he then and then learning that Jules had fucked his dad,
Yeah. Well,
then he was like, well, let me just, because I already
and I
got it,
think
let me
that's
just,
why there was some kind of aggression between his dad and him.
Also,
yeah.
he definitely, if you can pay attention
Some
or not, he do
possession.
like a woman who, yeah, he does like a woman who has a bit of aggression or troubledness to her, because you can
Mm.
Yeah.
see with him and Maddie. First of all, when when Jules put that knife on him, his dick was on lock. I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm more than sure. Because
Yo.
the way he was acting and the way he reacted to her afterwards,
Uh-huh.
it was too telltale. And for me, being around people like I play baseball, so I know a motherfucking I forgot his name already. I just said his name, Nate.
Nate.
Yeah, I know a Nate. And people like it for real, extremely troubled,
Mm.
and everything they do is trauma living. They're living off their trauma. Everything. So when he seen that his dad had conquered Jules, I'm more than sure that made him feel like he even more. I have to conquer her now because he can't conquer her like I can conquer her. A lot of times, and he was probably growing up like I want to jump back to when you said he got strong because his dad maybe molested him. um that could have been the initial goal, but then stepping into
Mm-hmm.
high school and being popular, being the quote unquote standard of attractiveness, he definitely was like, okay, this is me. This is actually, this is something I feel good about. And it probably in his mind, something probably happened when he was like, all this happened for good, for my good, because he started to get positive reinforcements from how he looked and how the things he did, and people weren't correcting him. Like you can see it in the first one of the first episode when he's in the car with old boy and he first sees Rue and he's like trying to flirt with Rue and she's like whatever, and he damn near drives her off the road and old boy's like,
Yeah.
hey bro, what are you doing? Nobody's correcting him. So he thinks he's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. He probably thinks
Mm-hmm.
he didn't work himself out of the trauma. I work on some. It's meatheads like that. They literally live in the gym instead of handling their issues. They just work out
Yeah.
and work out, work out, work out, work out, work out, work
But
out.
look who his like example was his dad, and his dad
Mm-hmm,
literally is just like assaulting all these people for years. No one
mm-hmm.
knows, no one cares. He's getting away with it. He's the number one man in the community. So it's like all
Yeah.
this just continuously gets enabled and enabled. And it's like the
Rewarded.
stuff that Nate does, like it's like really like a lot. And the way he's so confident doing it, he popped up in that like 20-something-year-old man's apartment like he lived there and paid bills. How'd you get in?
Like
How
that
did you
was
get
not
in
home
here?
invasion. But no, I
That was
think
a great
also,
home invasion.
I think after this episode he might calm it down because honey, you
He
got your
needs
ass
to,
beat.
because Fez said, you're not about to do me
I,
like that.
I hope he get his ass beat again. I
But
hope
I
he
feel
challenges
bad because I feel like he about to preach to the choir. He about to preach to the choir on Fezco. I see that coming.
Ooh,
And Fez better
or
pop his ass.
he
Fez
about
better
to say
pop his ass.
Or
That's it.
Ashtray get that hammer again.
I
The whole thing.
do
That
want to
was
go
Maybe
back
like,
I'm just trying to see
to
what
when you
is
said
gonna happen from here. As far as like Rue and Jules' relationship is like, it's
they
very
don't need to be a
clear
thing.
that you
But
feel
I
like they don't need
did
to be a
feel
thing.
bad. I mean, their relationship
I mean,
toxic,
I don't
and
know. I feel
they
like
don't need to be together.
I don't feel like their
They need
relationship is
therapy.
toxic. I feel like their relationship is too codependent.
Yeah.
Especially towards Jules. Like I feel like she has way too much pressure on her.
because she's trying. I feel
Yeah,
like
it's
she
way too
wants
much
to
pressure on her.
create.
And then she too flighty. She likes to do too much.
She
And
already
that's
has
like
like someone in her life who was like having substance abuse issues because her mother was or is an alcoholic. Is her mother alive? I feel like
I
her
don't
mom's
think so.
dead, but we never saw it. But
I think her mom
anyway,
is
like,
dead, but I don't think her mom was sick. I don't think she was. I think she was
no,
a
but
drug
she
addict
relapsed
or something.
because like the mom
took Rue relapsing like personally, like it was her own.
because
thing.
remember in her special,
fault.
because her mother came back to be like, I'm sorry I put you in conversion care, conversion therapy, all this stuff. I'm no longer an alcoholic and all this stuff. And then Rue was like, bitch, fuck you, no. And then her mom relapsed. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think with Rue, she tries to like go back and redo what she did with her mother, and like she feels like she can maybe fix this person, and if she can be the reason they can get sober, it would be better and help or whatever. So that's why when people say, oh, Jules is manipulative, it's like Jules is a 17-year-old girl. She's not a therapist. I don't think she's conscious enough of her behavior. None of them,
she's not manipulative. If anything,
are
she's
really
getting
conscious
manipulated
of their behavior
kind of sorta.
and what it can do and how it harms people.
And she doesn't want to see Rue go down that path, so she's kind of stringing this little situationship along.
It's not her responsibility though, and
it's
it
not
looks
her
like she's like trapped.
In this, I do want to go back to what you just said. This first of all, they showed that Rue is a Virgo in the show. One thing Virgos know how to do is manipulate people and make people feel bad for not doing shit for them. Rue has literally lived her life making everybody who she's came into contact with feel bad for the decisions she has made. And Jules is getting the brunt of the and that's why I do not like their relationship, because Jules is trying to
she's
trapped. She's trapped and she's trying to overcompensate like for the lack of love she's had with other females who were supposed to love her in her life, and then trying to connect with Jules because it's like, oh, we both have a parent who we lost, and we both have all these things. They weren't bonding because they liked each other or they cared about each other. They bonded because they had a whole lot of similar trauma. They just allowed each other to enable each other's trauma and the things that would make it worse.
But like Rue doesn't even like know Jules as much as Jules knows Rue. And like when you see at the beginning, like Rue, you low-key took her father's medication, all this other stuff. It was like, but like when it comes to Rue and her manipulative tendencies, we see how she gets out of community service, how she manipulates a person. But it's like, it's not to say that Rue is a bad person. This is how people with substance abuse issues react and act sometimes. Well, they will manipulate people. We see how she used Lexi to get that clean drug test and all this other stuff. Like when it comes to Jules, she became, like someone said it in a video, Rue became addicted to Jules as a substitute for drugs. And then when Jules was like, let me live my actual life, I cannot just always live my life with you, and she left her at the train station, then she relapsed. Where it was like, Rue needs to understand that she needs to be sober for herself.
Yeah.
You can't be sober for other people. And Jules needs to understand that you cannot make someone be sober. But I mean, their sobriety has nothing to do with it.
I mean, all these people are 16. So like, wow.
We forget
we would like them. We would like them to be all like adjusted and like think for themselves and like, you know, critically think. They're not. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Where are the adults? Where are the adults? That's my question.
Why aren't they adults? That's my question. Why is this in high school? What is up with these high school? And this was talked about on your Spaces conversation.
Okay,
but like,
it's in high school because Sam Levinson is, even though the show is based off an Israeli show, he changed a lot of it because it's kind of like a self-insert again. Like Rue's character is supposed to low-key be him and how he was in high school. But then the thing about it is Sam Levinson is a nepotism baby, and his father is Barry Levinson, who is this great producer, Oscar-winning director, and all this stuff. So it's not like he grew up in the hood. He did not see none of this. So it's like, you was low-key adding some bits and pieces with the writers, and that's why sometimes I'm watching the show like, why are white people saying cracker? Why is all this stuff happening? Like,
why they got Tupac and Biggie playing in this damn? I'm like,
they had the fact that they had the
85
Tupac song
songs
and
within
then the
the
Biggie.
first
I was
10
like,
minutes.
now do you know what "Hit 'Em Up" is about? Like, do you know the backstory
Right.
about that song? And you
Come
gonna put
on.
Biggie in the song? You gonna have Biggie in the episode as well? That's interesting.
It's a little controversial.
Oh,
It's giving I didn't do my homework. It's giving I didn't do my research.
They Google,
No,
they
one
Google
black
nigga
writer.
shit.
Like-
They Google nigga shit and was like, here you go.
Yeah, it's not even like
Yes.
they're in a suburb close to LA. Like they're like.
So that's why it's in high school. Would it make sense if it was in college? Yes and no, because people act this way in high school, but like someone said, in college, if you don't want to see somebody, you'll never see them.
Yeah.
In high school, like what Harrison was saying is like
kinda
you're
forced.
really only friends because y'all may have classes together and you see each other all the time.
Yeah.
So I see it both ways, and it's like people who say it's not realistic, it's like maybe because in high school, even if you go to like schools where everybody acts good, there are still some people who are in that toxic relationship. There are people who sell drugs, there are people who do drugs.
For me,
But they may not
it's the
like
level of
seeing
drugs.
it.
It's like the intensity and the
Yeah.
substances. Because where we was at, it's like they was drinking and they was doing weed. That's it.
Yeah. And
Or
Ruby's
like
the only one.
seeing them be
And then,
the
I mean,
main
we also have to
characters
be like, we also
makes
have to
it
be
seem like it happens a
realistic.
lot.
Like this is TV. We also have to be. I mean, because we always have to be realistic. This is TV. Like TV shows that center around high school students always lack parents, unless the show is about the family. TV shows that sit around high school always
Or when
like
it gets
parents.
too serious.
It's very little like parental supervision.
I mean, but that's how it
I
is in
think the
high school,
comparison.
though, for real.
This show kind of
I feel like
it's really starting to get like the graphic stuff. Like it's starting to remind me of 13 Reasons Why, and I feel like that was just like an emotional roller coaster. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if I'm ready to relive again with this show.
I couldn't watch that show.
This
I
show,
couldn't even
that
sit
show
through
was
it.
bad.
what show?
Size
13 Reasons Why.
that was too much. Like this show has so many plot lines going on in the way that they do it, like in a non-linear structure. I'm curious as to how they're gonna progress it forward. And like someone said, like, is this show even gonna have a resolve? Like we're seeing all these people go through traumatic things and we're conscious of the fact that they're 17. But like, are they ever gonna get to the point where it's like, I shouldn't do this? Are they ever gonna have that growth? Because let's be honest, did anybody grow in season 1?
No.
No.
I mean,
So-
but it's only a year. It's only a year.
Only
And
2
they're
seasons.
high school students.
It's not even a year.
It's 6 months.
Mm.
So it's just like when you see this, like we just have to look at it and be like, what? Some people don't even understand the point of the show, where it's like, what is the resolve of the situation? And when you start adding things like blackmail and assaulting minors and like, I don't want them to do what they did to McKay's character and just throw in these traumatic things and then we never talk about it.
That shit was absolutely pointless. That I was just thinking about, and it's so good. It's so good that you brought that up because I just did not understand. Like, I know why, and I know the backstory behind it, but it was pointless to put it to the show because for them to put that in the show and then just make him a sad boy for the rest of the show, and not to talk about rape.
Yeah, they did kind of like press on.
Yeah, that was just like
they kind of pressed McKay.
And they made it about Cat. I don't want them to
Yeah.
things and not because Sam Levinson talked about how he wants the show to be this deep thing. So like a lot of people look at it, it's just like a CW show, but it's like aesthetically beautiful. But it's like if he wanted to be a deep thing, then you need to maybe hire some writers or do what they did like on the specials and have the actors influence the writing.
Yeah.
Because we can't just have you throwing big nuggets out there and none of it ever gets resolved. Like at some point you need to start tying up loose ends. And this season they said it's about growth and redemption and learning.
I hope we see it.
We already starting way down at the bottom. Yeah. Okay,
well,
so we got a long way to go.
As our seasons first are, hopefully towards the end we'll get some type of growth with these characters. I wasn't surprised seeing Rue and everybody else just act, basically the same as we left them the last
But
season.
you know what was weird?
What?
Fesco is 20 in his 20s, and Lexi is 16, 17.
I didn't know that until
You a
last
grown
night when
man.
Darren told me.
What you doing? Fez.
What
Like,
is
why
it?
are they doing
That's how
stuff
it
like
is.
that?
That's how it is. That's exactly how it is.
That is
A
accurate,
lot,
though.
That is how it
a
is. But
lot of guys who graduate high school and is still
One of my friends was
graduate
16
high
and her
school.
boyfriend was
And
21.
well, that does remind
I'm
me,
not
like,
bragging, but it was definitely me.
like when I was in 8th grade, we were all 13. My friend had a 16-year-old boyfriend who was a junior in high school.
Yeah.
And when you look back on it, it's like, and they were having sex. And I was like,
Yeah.
that is not okay.
It happens in
Like,
places. Like even for me, that happened to
Yeah,
me.
no,
When
I
I was
didn't
18,
until I was in
when I
junior high school.
Yeah, when I was 18, I was dating a guy who was 30, literally.
oh,
Yeah, so it
Oops.
happens. It
But when
happens literally.
but when you're
Wow.
young,
you don't
you
think
Yeah.
it's
think like
wrong.
it's so like, oh my God, I'm so
Yeah.
sophisticated, da, da, da. But when you get older, you're like, that's nasty.
And you look back at.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
You think
Yeah,
it's like a
exactly.
reflection of like
Oh,
you
no,
and like,
you know,
oh, you're so cool.
I
Yeah.
was
This, that, and the third.
definitely.
You think like, oh
I
my
was
gosh, I'm
definitely.
so mature. I'm
That is
da-da-da-da-da.
right.
I'm blah, blah, blah.
When
But
in
why
actuality,
Fez?
the only reason why they're talking to you is because people their age won't give them the time of day.
Won't fuck with them.
That's
No.
Yeah.
why. That's
But
it.
I'm sad they're doing that to
And I
Fez's
think-
character. Because I'm going to sit here like,
And I think
people are shipping him. Like, we shouldn't be shipping this. Like, this is.
It's kind of
like,
weird.
yeah,
But,
like,
you know.
with Fez, like,
yeah,
come on
it's
now.
definitely
But then
weird.
another thing with, like, him, like,
But
with
I also
Sam Levinson
think
is,
we
like,
have to like.
how he talks about teen girls. Like, in his other movie, Assassination Nation, like, it's also some weird stuff happening with teen girls, and then they all end up, like, riding against people. But, like, with Sam, like, the way this show talks about sex, I know, like, we talked about how it's like it's a little weird because they're supposed to be teenagers, but like he even includes sex workers in the show. Like, we saw the strippers, or we saw that Faye girl who is played by a real life like adult film actress, but he always has the sex workers getting like fucked up, extreme
got-
violence. Like, that Faye
Not
girl got her
extreme
head
violence.
bashed into the
She got
wall.
raw.
I was
Yeah.
worried, like, is she gonna die?
He said,
Like, he really just and it left a dent. I was like, oh my God. Sam, what we doing? Like,
Yo, y'all need to stop.
she's sitting there like,
That girl was screaming. I was like, oh
can
my.
I get my clothes?
I'm like, am I watching the same show? Am I watching the right show? Like,
yes. And the way that girl was talking, where she was talking to Ruth, she was like, you're just a junkie whore like everyone else. And Ruth's like, whore? Whore? She was probably more mad at the whore accusation than junkie.
okay, because like,
But that's another thing. Like, when people talk about this show and talk about representation and whether or not they want darker skinned Black women in the show, even if you don't want to, a lot of people need to watch the way they talk about drug addiction and just, you know, saying, oh, we don't want to see darker skinned Black women be junkies. Like, I like the fact that the show does humanize Rue and people who have addiction problems and things like that. But like, when y'all start using terms like crackhead and junkie, like that's the whole the opposite of what the show's trying to do. We need to be mindful of the way we're talking about drug addiction and all these things. And then other people where it's like, y'all be talking about drug addiction like it's cool. Like, that's where
Right,
Fez had to
it's
check
like-
Rue, like, bitch, that wasn't cool.
And
That we
now they
almost
be talking
died.
about
Like,
ADHD. They be talking about ADHD like it's cool.
But we all know people
and
that's
having
like
all
that,
those
though.
things. Like
They,
it's
they
cool.
live,
people
they
like
live
that.
in the moment, and then it's like, oh my God, like this is. I'm like, honey, we just got robbed.
yeah. But that's what people are saying. Like, some people don't need to be watching the show and are, and that's why I like Zendaya, how she's like, girl, this is mature, this is not good, this, like, don't watch it if you can't. But some of y'all use the characters to validate your actions or to validate their actions, and I'm sitting here like, no, like,
I fear
what
for
Rue is
those
doing is not
identifying with
okay.
Nate. I fear for those identifying with Nate. Like, oh
Who
yeah,
is
I know
identifying
Nate.
with Nate? You need to
Them
go to
toxic
jail.
TikTokers, child. I be seeing them, child.
I know
You-
a couple
See
guys
so many
who-
first edits of Nate. I'm like,
That's like the Nate train, girl.
We gonna act like he didn't sit there and like
And Nate is
blackmail
so
Jules? What?
Am I the only person who thinks like Nate is just so unattractive? I don't understand why they couldn't pick somebody more attractive to play that role if they was
I
going
feel
to
like-
try to make him out to be. But
Yeah,
also,
like,
I feel like anybody would be with the character that Nate is, I feel like anybody that would play him would come off as ugly, even if they were attractive. I mean, like, he is palm colored.
There is a community of people who think he's attractive, though.
But like, I mean,
I think with like the people identifying with the characters, you cannot like. If you see yourself in the character, that's fine. And you see the character acting certain behavior, y'all need to realize this is a fictional show.
Yeah.
Just because the character's doing it doesn't mean it's okay for your act. Because you deal with something like Rue did, you probably not gonna leave.
Alive. They go to fake jail and they fake die. You really go to jail. You really die.
Okay.
So, getting kidnapped by drug dealers and being forced to strip, like, that is so not okay. And I'm just sitting here looking at this like situation, like, this is so much. A whole friend group with all this trauma, and the way some of them, like, I'm so curious about Lexi's, if she's gonna get an episode, which I feel like she is, because the fact that her and Cassie are siblings, so they both have the same like trauma of their father leaving and his addiction problems. But the way Lexi presents herself as, yeah, girl, I'm going to college, and Cassie is more just with the motions and wherever the wind blows. I'm curious to see if Lexi is for real struggling with things, which she probably is, and not telling anybody because her mom probably cannot handle 2 kids that are fucked up.
Yeah.
So she's the one who's like, you know what, we bury it, so it'd be less.
I don't know. I feel like Lexi is like you know how like sometimes you have that kid that is just always responsible because they have to.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is. I feel like Lexi is definitely that one. Like while she has her issues and while she has her, you know, her trauma, sure. I feel like for the bulk of her life, she's always just been the responsible one because no one else around her is. Casey is always being, you know.
Isn't her mom an alcoholic?
Yeah, her mom's an alcoholic.
Yeah, their mom
raging alcoholic.
Something.
Yeah, see, this is
she's a white.
It's learned behavior.
Her daddy, her daddy's pretty much like when they did the Bachelor for her dad and them.
I think their daddy did by this point.
Ooh,
honestly,
but they were party animals. Like that's how they met. Like party animals. And neither one of them took being parents seriously.
Do you think Cassie was the favorite child? Because we see Cassie doing ice skating, and that's expensive, and then she has to quit it. But it's like, Lexi, did you do anything? It feels like Lexi was like,
because maybe even in the personality traits that you see them while they're older, Cassie, honestly, she's more often like goes after things she wants. Like when she wants something, she may not, you know, speak up on it or whatever, but she'll go get it, or she'll take it, or she'll like find a way to, you know, snake her way.
I feel like,
vice versa, her sister is very, you know, quiet about the way she feels. She doesn't speak up.
But her sister did explode on her when she's like, "Everybody loves you. Everybody thinks you're beautiful." I think that was that part where her sister was getting tired of being in the shadow.
I definitely feel like there's something there. I just feel like we haven't gotten to Lexi's moment yet. Like I feel like we haven't gotten to her episode yet. I feel like there's something there. I feel like we're making assumptions that she's not doing anything, or that she hasn't done anything, or she's just kind of, or she's like the the forgotten child. I don't think that is. I feel like Lexi's character arc will be a lot different, even in the background, if she was. Because
but it's not like Lexi's doing drugs.
Because
we know she not.
Because you know her are really good friends. And her and Jules are good friends. So I feel like she has other things that are going on with her. We just haven't gotten to her yet. Because
I think it's like because like with the other people, like getting an abortion, like you're gonna notice that, or doing drugs, you're gonna notice that, because we know Lexi doesn't do drugs because she used her like pee for the drug test for Jules. But maybe her thing is like an eating disorder or like self-harming or something you can't see. And like with Lexi, it's like her episode will be interesting because remember when everybody watched Cassie's episode and they're like, oh my god, I didn't care about her character until I watched the episode. It's probably going to be something like that.
Yeah.
Because it's
I
just
feel
the
like
way
she'll
that
struggle with,
family
like,
is.
mental
That dynamic
illness.
is terrible.
I feel like she'll struggle with mental illness, like maybe
Yeah.
OCD or something, or bipolar or BPD.
It's
Yeah,
just
maybe
the
that's why
dynamic.
her
Like,
Child, this whole cast is crazy.
but you know what's weird? Like,
What?
every family dynamic is kind of weird. We don't know that much about Kat's family dynamic. Maddie's family dynamic is definitely off in the fact that she's like, yeah, her dad slept on the couch every day of her life or whatever. But then this is something also weird. Like, Maddie, like, she lost her virginity to a 40-year-old man at 14.
Mm-hmm.
And we never, but then like she was totally in control.
Mm.
A 9th grader?
No.
Yeah.
Like, Rue, please. Don't lie. Like,
don't lie.
Like,
in the narration, child.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, they all have so much trauma. Like, the trauma is so weird. And I think with Lexi, it's like her maybe liking Fez in the sense that he doesn't immediately like objectify her like the way people treat her sister. He did push her sister to the motherfucking ground. And she saw that where he get out the way, let me beat this man's ass again. Like that was funny.
Also, she's like, yeah.
But I mean, Lexi was the only one that saw the fight between Nate and Fez happening. Like she figured it out, or she figured something was going to happen.
We literally see Maddie pull Cassie up, so they were all watching Nate get his
No,
ass
I'm not talking about that point.
No,
I'm talking about
leading up to it.
Oh, leading up to
like
it.
when he was standing outside the window and he like looked back at her.
When he texted Ashtray and was like,
get the car.
Yeah, go to the car. Yeah.
Wait.
Right.
Let me tell you something.
Fez knows, like
speaking of that fight though. When McKay jumped in, why I thought Fesco was about to hit him too. I was like,
"Ooh,
not you about the 2-piece?" Wait,
he could have.
What McKay gonna do?
But I don't think, and that's the thing about like, I don't really care for McKay's character. I think McKay's character is. Oh my god! I think McKay's character. I feel like McKay's character is a
backsplash.
It's like a quiet fuck.
Boring. I mean, the fact that McKay let Nate get all up on him and say, "Did you use a condom? Did you come? Where'd you come?" And like he let that go on for a little too long, and he didn't do nothing.
It's even very much lapdog.
Yes, like no, I don't know any other person that would let somebody do that.
But like, I get why he's passive like that because McKay's dad is extremely domineering, and he makes him like focus, and he makes him just think about football and think about success. He's not allowed to have any other feeling but being, and it's
or
like
he's told to suppress everything. Because the fact that his dad was fine with a little white boy calling his son the hard R N-word, it was like, well, just suppress it. I don't know. Football,
right? That was the weirdest thing ever.
Right.
Like, I feel like McKay's kind of used to being the token black friend.
Black parents that be telling their kids to do that.
That's what his dad has made him accustomed to. First of all, a lot of those token black boys in those situations feel like if they aren't that token black boy, they're just another nigga. And their parents make them despise just being a regular black man. They feel like they need constant validation from white people to make themselves feel important. It's the Stockholm syndrome, like how slave house niggas was. That consistent
in Django.
Yeah, like consistent validation from somebody who is supposed to be your hierarchy or your upper or whatever the case may be. It's just
Nate probably told McKay, "You not like other black people." Like he's probably been told that shit.
He said that, yeah.
He did say that.
Yes, he did.
I didn't hear, but he looks like the type to say that.
He probably did say something like that.
He probably did. That made my skin crawl because
even in the first,
you're not like the rest of them.
Yeah, even in the first season when everybody was talking about Cassie and her being gangbanged, he kept saying over and over again in a very polite manner, "Hey guys, stop.
Hey guys, stop.
And they was dragging his girl, and he's just like, well, what can I do?
Bro, like, but that's
Like,
how
you're
Let
just
me tell you
watching this,
something.
and
We
it's
was
like,
split up in high
but then
school.
you
We
also
split up in
remember
whole room by
McKay's
gender.
older than them.
People were
McKay's
saying
like
that.
a year or two older than
So
Nate.
why are you
You letting some kid go up to you like, did you use a condom? Nigga, get the fuck off me. Like,
Okay.
why? The fact that McKay's at a high school party and you at college.
But McKay is
Why are
also
you
like
there?
5'7", and like Nate is like 6'5". Like
He can do something. Like, even if you
Ew.
lose the fight,
Shit.
at least
I
you
mean,
started it. Like, I would rather someone
sure,
try
but
to
like
fight, but like,
it's
and
like,
lose.
girl, he already little and he ain't got like no backbone for real. So I just don't like McKay's character. He's way too passive for me. McKay is way, even from the beginning when McKay had to see him being in college and he was going to do whatever initiation or whatever for a fraternity. Like, he was just way too passive. It was like, girl, we can go. Like, we can really just go. Like, we
Or
don't
the
have
fact
to.
that wasn't McKay in the truck when they almost like ran Rue? He didn't care. He was just sitting there while your homeboy is about to run this girl over.
No,
He doesn't. He
Oh
doesn't
yeah, when they
care.
almost ran over Jules.
He doesn't care.
McKay was had to just got to run over Jules. Yeah,
he doesn't care as
but
long
I
as he's in
mean,
the crowd. That's it.
I also personally think
he's the passive Negro in this show. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I also think it's a very good depiction of the average black man, because in a lot of situations that is the case. Black men will sit back and let people slander whomever they want to in the community as long as they're benefiting from the situation. It doesn't matter.
They'll let other women to do it too. They'll let their white girlfriends do it too.
Primarily white girlfriends, and I've seen it so much in Washington where I've seen black guys. I don't want no ugly black bitch, and they're dark as a peroxide bottle. Girl, you're not gonna tell me.
Dark as the damn night. Talking about I don't like darkies.
No, it's just too much.
Hey,
like,
yo.
It just I just can't with that. Just McKay, and I feel bad about McKay is the fact that we're probably never gonna see his character again, unless it's like a flashback. But his character is kind of gone as like the main ones. But like, it's just McKay's character and the way it's like Sam Levinson. Please, and this is the same thing Sam Levinson did on
he the
his
only
Malcolm
other
and
black person in the damn group, so it's like, damn, we ain't even got much to work with.
But like Sam Levinson, the way he writes black men and him in the Malcolm and Marie movie, he did like low-key the same thing where Malcolm's character is, I mean, it's just too much. I just need Sam Levinson to add some black writers in there. Have a couple of Negroes in the writing room.
Come on.
And not the ones that be writing these characters and they come out.
All right. Now let me just say this because I want to wrap soon because we are over an hour and my food is probably getting cold.
Oh, okay. I gotta go get dinner too.
So. Right. So I just want to get you guys' final thoughts on the episode and what do you want to see during this season?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Too many cocks.
I love see.
And I'm excited to see how the Maddie and Cassie beef plays out, even though I'm kind of like scared. But yeah.
The episode was a ride, and I wanted to get out of the ride at certain points, but I can't wait to see Lexi's episode, and I can't wait to see Cassie get that ass beat.
Ooh,
yes.
You know it's coming. We know it's coming. Like,
ooh.
I feel like she's gonna get exposed though, like some in some way, because I feel like Maddie might have something on her.
Gossip Girl shit.
Yeah.
Nate
but I
kind
of felt like everybody was gonna know about the relationship, but nobody was gonna say it, and that's gonna make Maddie for real snap. And that's what we see her like shoving her face not only into like the fence, but then also into like the
hand dryer machine.
But that thing is hard, girl. You know that shit hurt. Yeah.
All right.
I'm just ready for this whole blackmailing situation to unfold. I really feel like it's going to, especially with Maddie being so vengeful at this point right now with Nate. I'm really waiting for her to just like something to hurt him like emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about you, Mike?
I I think for me, I'm most personally excited to see Nate's growth. I want to see how that ass whooping teaches, what that ass whooping teach him. I want to see like how he's gonna move from here on. I want to see like in episode 3, is he still gonna be feeling like he's untouchable? How's he gonna be reacting to Rue and anybody who's associated with Rue or Fez? Also, I hope they do bring old boy back, McCain, because although his character, like the first season, it was just fluff. I do think that they could work that into Nate's story and him growing as a person. Like maybe he has a conversation or a point in a moment where he like breaks down and he's trying to, be all, oh, woe it's me, and McCain finally lets him know like, no, it's never been woe to you. You're the issue.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do I want to see? That's pretty much it. Honestly, like my whole first season, I was just so annoyed with Nate. Like that was just my biggest issue. Everything else, yada 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 here nor there. But like, cause but I feel like that character specifically, people watching that character develop on TV would really be helpful.
Okay.
I also don't want to see Caddy's character grow out of this SA or the sex work. Just because I really feel like she's so much better than that. And not that there's anything wrong with sex work, but she's so young. And I feel like because she felt a way about her body and about herself. And I kind of want all the girls to like kind of grow out of that, because I feel like they all kind of do stuff for other people versus themselves. I think that's also something that I want to see.
We didn't see a lot of her. She was in the background, but we didn't. Yeah.
She did what she had to do.
Is Kat still doing that stuff, or didn't she delete? Because she's no longer wearing bondage.
Oh yeah, I remember that. He probably is.
This one, like the things just that happened, and we just all just like forget it. Like what she was doing was technically a crime.
Yeah.
She was getting coin, but yeah, it was.
Hopefully this gets addressed. One thing, because I want to bring up Jules again. I love when like Nate was like eyeing her down or whatever, and she was just like, "Huh, sis, I'm unbothered. I don't care what you're doing. I'm over here dancing. I'm over here doing my thing." I hope I want to see Rue get the help that she needs. She needs to get that intervention, and we need to fix this. But yeah,
I just want to see her get it like under control.
Yeah.
Like obviously they're not going to stop her from using, but like damn, like you need to have a like this is how I am in front of everybody else, and this is how I am like when I get crazy, because it's
I hope
no
Nate
more heroin.
falls all the way back for the next couple episodes. I don't want to see this man. I don't want to see this man.
Can't she just smoke weed like
a regular
person?
Weed is just perfect. It's just fine. She'll be as calm as she needs to be. Like
weed is like cigarettes for real.
But that's what she needs to come down off of. The girl, she be taking crazy shit.
Right. Well, all right. Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about the first episode. Will I see you guys next week?
Yes.
Yeah. I gotta prepare again, but yes.
Okay, we'll be here next week to talk about episode 2.